All right, my friends, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I have a student with me in the car who wants to know a little bit more about project management and how to break into project management. So I'm going to narrate my story about how I broke into project management. Breaking into project management can be done in a variety of ways. And you know, when we say break into, it makes it sound as though one is doing something brute force and something that isn't completely legal, you know. But I want you to know there's nothing bad in trying to break into a market or break into an industry, and that's really what we're going to be talking about today. How I was able to break into the project management industry. Now, when you hear project management, a lot of times there's a tendency to think just one industry. I remember being in a number of Uber rides, and you know, the Uber drivers, lots of them, they have a couple of jobs, so they know a thing or two about management and the business environment. So I get these questions, hey, which industry? You know, and I tell them it doesn't have to pertain to a particular industry, you know. Project management is universal. So they immediately think construction, they immediately think engineering, and I'm quick to tell them, no, it's not that. It's an agnostic perspective to how projects are managed. You know, if you are a project manager in one industry, you should be able to take it up a notch to any industry. You know, for example, I've worked in IT, I've worked in construction, I've worked in engineering, I've worked in gaming. So once you are a project manager, understanding how projects are run, you should be able to blend in. It's like a mini CEO mindset. You know, I often say the project manager is like a mini CEO. And what does that mean? You know, the way a CEO can blend from one organization to the other. One minute they're in pharmaceutical, next minute they are in software. You know, the CEO mindset, it cuts across. The same way the project manager mindset cuts across. You know, once you are a project manager, able to manage projects using the right mindset, philosophy, tools, techniques, and so on, that should transfer across, okay? So, how did I get into project management? Well, my journey started eons ago, unbeknownst to me, and you might very well be the same. For me, I started working before I graduated as a music producer. And the job of a music producer is twofold. You got to make sure that the music and the songs are right. And then you got to make sure the logistics are right. So when you get into the studio, you're not wasting studio time or money. There's a budget. You got to stick to the budget. You got to stick to the time. And you got to make sure that record comes out, or that CD, or back in the day we had cassette tapes. You got to make sure those come out. So you got a budget and you got to manage it, and you got resources and you got to manage it. It wasn't until about a decade after I'd been working as a music producer that I realized, wait a minute, this is project management. This is working on a temporary endeavor to deliver a unique product, a unique service, or some other result. So when I realized that, it made me think about how many people are leaving, as it were, money on the table, leaving opportunity on the table, because a lot of people have these skills to organize, to develop, to keep people on the straight and narrow, on a team, to inspire, to motivate. You know, another job of the producer was to encourage the singers, the band members, the instrumentalists, keep them motivated, keep them pumped, keep them inspired. And that's what a project manager does. A project manager is a servant leader that inspires the team, motivates the team, encourages the team. So when I made those neural connections, as it were, I decided I would have to let people know you probably have these project management skills. You just don't call it project management, you know. A parent taking kids to school, picking them up, taking them to after-school activities, preparing dinner, setting the table, washing dishes, washing clothes, all that stuff. They're all temporary endeavors, and you have that project management muscle. You just need to develop it more. So for me, the way I got into project management, you could say, was somewhat accidental. I didn't know that what I had been doing was really project management. I was just called a producer, but I was really managing a project. Now, I eventually became an archiving manager at Citigroup, managing projects that had to do with archiving. I didn't know there were projects. For example, we were transitioning from paper-based documentation at Citibank to soft copy, PDFs. This was like early 2000s. A lot of this stuff was new. But we were moving from one system to another, and there were projects. And guess what? I didn't know that that was project management. It wasn't until afterwards, when I wrote my dissertation for my master's degree, which was barriers to implementing project management systems, I realized, wait a minute, there's got to be some project management in what I was doing. And then I noticed when I was applying for the PMP exam, the description of projects, I'm like, wow. So even before I got into this engineering firm that I was at, I was managing projects. I didn't know. Isn't that crazy? So for you who is looking to get into project management, you already have skills. You just need to build the muscle, right? It's like someone going to the gym on the very first day. They don't get all the muscle. They start building the muscle though. And some people coming in, they actually have the natural genetics to look kind of cut and buff, but it needs to be developed. So for me, when I got into project management consciously, it was as a result of using Microsoft Project. I used Microsoft Project personally, and I started recording videos about Microsoft Project and how to effectively use it, the cardinal rules of Microsoft Project, what to do and what not to do. And I started selling these on eBay in 2003, 2004. So I developed my skill. Are you listening, my friends? Because a lot of times people feel you have to have been working in a company using the software before you recognize, and that's not true. I was using Microsoft Project for my personal work, and then I started teaching it. I actually started selling my Microsoft Project training video CDs. Back in the day, we would have these video CDs. So I started selling these video CDs, and I became very masterful with Microsoft Project. I was able to build schedules, resource load them, cost load them. I got this book on how to use Microsoft Project, and I developed my own system from the book. And for you folks who want to get into project management, I would advise you to learn Microsoft Project. I am, of course, very attached to it because it's the start of my formal project management career. So I would advise you to learn Microsoft Project. If you don't have Microsoft Project, just Google Project Libre, Libre. Learn Project Libre. I have a few free videos on YouTube, and if I were you, I'd watch those videos. I'd get good with scheduling, because scheduling, as I always say, is the project manager's bread and butter. That is meant to put you on a higher level of project management consciousness. So when I learned how to use Microsoft Project and I got employed in this environmental engineering company in Phoenix, I was fortunate enough to meet someone who eventually became my mentor. Her name is Mary. And Mary said, Phil, I think you'd make a good PMP, because she saw I was passionate about project management and about Microsoft Project, and she realized that I was handicapped, handicapped. I needed help. I needed to go to the next level, and I didn't know how. And some folks are like that. They're working in a company, they got a little bit of autonomy, but they're not able to make radical project management change. They are not able to effectively expand a project management outfit or business. They're limited in how they're able to explain project management. And Mary saw this guy is good, he just needs a little bit of polish. So she was very kind to give me all of her PMP books. She gave me flashcards, learning management system, the whole 9 yards. And I started studying for the PMP exam. Started studying early January. I think she gave me the books for about a month before I decided, nothing's going to change in this company I'm at. I need to elevate. And PMP is probably my meal ticket out of here. So I started studying. I studied from January 2005 up until June 2005, June 25th. And I remember I would always move my exam date out as the day was approaching because I started getting scared. But eventually I took the exam, I got PMP certified, and my salary went up 300%. The doors of opportunity swung wide open. And my friends, I'm telling you, if you begin working on an objective, on an endeavor towards your project management prowess, it's going to pay off. You just have to be dogged and rugged. So every time my company would send me out to do one thing or another, I would be thrown off the horse of studying, but I'll get back on the horse. Get thrown off, get back on. Take my study material everywhere. Back in the day, I had a BlackBerry. I would put the information on a BlackBerry. I'd make sure that wherever I went, I was able to study. I was able to be intentional about my study habits, my study routine. And at the end of the day, I was able to knuckle down, motivate myself, give myself a swift kick, and ended up getting certified. And now the windows of opportunity, that's history. I've worked everywhere from General Dynamics, American Airlines at the time, US Airways, worked for Honeywell for a couple of years, worked for Skillsoft, worked for Emerson. At the time it was Motorola that transitioned into Emerson in a divestiture. So never say never, my friends. Start working today. If I were you, if you want to break into project management, you got to get some knowledge so that when you go for interviews, people will take you seriously. You can't just go flying blind like I did. I went for an interview once at DHL before I met Mary and before I got into project management proper. It was an absolute disaster. It was so shameful. I felt like a muppet at the end of that interview. So hopeless. It was quite embarrassing because I was mistaking project management for the SDLC. And that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people think the software development lifecycle is project management. And it's actually not. They're two different things. The SDLC is what you do to get the work done, you see, but project management is managing the work. It's not doing the work. And I was mixing doing the work and managing the work up, and it was a disaster. The guy who interviewed me, he was certified, a Prince 2 certified guy, and he just ran circles around me, and I was like a dumb schmuck just answering. And I was wondering, why are they smirking? What's so funny? I was totally off base. So you don't want to be like that. You want to have some of the knowledge. You want to be really good with the knowledge. And the way to get good with the knowledge, I highly recommend taking my course. My course is called The Art of Project Management. And you can find this course on Udemy. Just search for The Art of Project Management. Look for me on there. Take the course. I'm giving you tons and tons of information. I've also given you a free handout to go with it. And there's information on Agile. I'm going to also load some information on Microsoft Project. There's 6 hours there right now, and it's under $25. So this will help you get the knowledge and the language and the lingo. I'm also going to add some stuff for the interviews for people. So if that sounds like something you want to do, I advise you to go on down there. But you don't even need to take the course if you've already taken one. What you need to do is get your resume in shape. Get ChatGPT if you are on a budget and you can't go to a professional. Get GPT to wordsmith your resume, make it look professional. Load it on Indeed, load it on Dice, load it on Monster, load it on LinkedIn, and begin applying for work. And if you are out of high school, it's something anyone could do. Anyone who's out of high school. you should be able to at least get a basic, project coordinator role. I got so many project coordinator roles, and I didn't even know it was project coordination. I got so many of them, but to get to that next level, you got to have some knowledge. You got to know initiating a project, planning a project, executing a project, monitoring and controlling a project, closing a project. What does that entail? What does it mean? And then you need to know the knowledge areas. Integration, which is overall coordination of the project, scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, resource management, communications management, risk management, and procurement management, followed by stakeholder management. Once you understand these areas at a decent level, you'll be able to speak intelligently in an interview, okay? I also offer one-on-one training and coaching for interviews. I've coached people from companies such as Amazon and Disney, and people going for work and being successful in getting work in some of these top Fortune 500 companies. So for that, go to pmanonymous.com if that is of interest to you. But I wish you all the best in your journey, but you got to start somewhere. You got to be intentional. And intentionality means understanding that when opportunity comes, you got to be ready. As the saying goes, when opportunity knocks, my mentor John Maxwell, he would say, when opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. So now is the time to prepare. Those of you who are about getting out of high school, take it from me. If someone had told me this as I was about leaving high school, I would have listened, because I didn't know what the landscape of work was like. But once you get project management down, your future is bright. Because project management is universal. It's everywhere. It cuts across the entire gamut, you see. So I encourage you, my friend, learn project management, have your future made, right? And then you can deviate and do other things. You don't have to stay a project manager, but it's a good safety net. Because guess what? If you need to change jobs or you need to change location, you hit the ground running as a project manager. Everyone's looking for a great project manager. So once you get the experience and you have your PMP or capm, Certified Associate in Project Management, you're flying high, my friend. If you're keen on taking the capm, or if you're qualified to take the PMP, if you got up to 3 years of experience as a project manager, or maybe you don't, maybe you're just out of high school, you can take the capm exam, Certified Associate in Project Management. So I advise you going down to tinyurl.com/elite capm. That's elite CAPM, all one word. If you're keen on taking the PMP, going down to tinyurl.com/elite PMP. These will get you in ship shape for either exam. Before you know it, you've crushed the test and you're getting paid good money. Similar as it's happened to my students and as it happened to me. 300% increase in salary. Okay? I wish you all the best, my friend. You take care. And you got any questions, put them in the comments below.